Welcome to Illustration and Media Digital Applications. This is Module 2, Unit 2.1, Navigation in SketchUp. Today, we will be talking about how to zoom in a three-dimensional world, how to use the orbit command, walking and looking around our three-dimensional space, and adjusting the camera settings and our field of view. I'm Sherry McKinley. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started, everyone. We're going to begin by opening up a new SketchUp file. And if you are using Windows as your computer, then you're going to go to the Start menu, and you will see an icon there called SketchUp 2013. You should also see a shortcut on your desktop that you can double-click and open up SketchUp in that way as well. If you are a Mac user, go to your applications, and SketchUp will be located there, and it should pretty much look the same as the version that we're using. I'll actually teach it in two ways when we get to that spot using the paint bucket. That's really the only change between the two versions of SketchUp. So let's go ahead and click on SketchUp 2013, and we will be looking at the zoom and navigation commands today. So the first thing we want to do is click on Choose Template. Now, this may prompt you the first time you open up SketchUp to choose a template, and that's great. We want to make sure that we're going to all be working in the simple template, feet and inches. We could also use the architectural one, feet and inches. It's just a different sort of look to the background, but I do want to make sure that nobody is choosing metric for this tutorial because we're going to be using, the foot symbol and inches, etc. So go ahead and select that, click on it once, and then choose Start Using SketchUp. And we'll be brought to our SketchUp window. Now, there's a few things that I want to explain to you so that you understand how to navigate in SketchUp. First of all, sort of disregard that I'm going to have more shortcuts than you have on your screen initially, and that's because I have a lot of plugins to my program that I'll be talking to you about a little bit later on. But I do want to explain a few things. Now, some of you may be AutoCAD users. Some of you, this may be brand new for you. So I want to explain sort of how this works in terms of a mathematical graph. You'll notice that there's a red line sort of going from left to right on an angle here. That would be like our x-axis. So if you can think back to grade 5 mathematics, the x-axis is the axis that goes from left to right, would be the width of an object. In AutoCAD, it's called the x-axis, and in SketchUp, it is our red axis. Now, the green axis going in this direction would be like the y-axis in AutoCAD or on a grid in math, and that would sort of give us the depth of any object. Then you'll notice a third dimension here. And this would be like the z-axis, and it's blue in SketchUp. And so these colors are very important to keep track of where we are in space, because when we start to draw in this environment, we're going to need to follow these colors in order to make sure that our lines are on the appropriate axis. And that will be sort of the next tutorial that we look at. Now, I want you to locate, if you can, a little area here that you'll see a hand. That's our pan command. To the right of that, you'll see our zoom button, and that will help us to do various types of zooms. To the right of that is our zoom extents. So if you ever get lost in your SketchUp model and you click on the zoom extents button, it will bring you back to zooming basically to the limits of your drawing. And finally, to the left of the pan button, it's kind of a green and red circular form. This is our orbit command. We're going to try each one of these to understand how we can navigate, and the orbit command gets us to basically do exactly that, orbit around our drawing in 3 dimensions so that we can see every single angle and every single plane. Now, before we start there, I want to make sure that we all understand how our mouse works in SketchUp, and I'm going to be saying sometimes to you click and drag. I'll be saying click, release, and hover. And I'll be also asking you sometimes to right click. So I want everyone to just look down at their mouse right now, and your left mouse button, you'll see is kind of where your pointer finger is if you're right-handed. It's on the left-hand side of your mouse, and that is basically our select. So I want you to click on that, and then I want you to click on the individual that is on your screen, and just do that once. And you'll notice that that allows us to select things in SketchUp. When we don't want that selected anymore, we click outside onto the green space, and when we want to select something again, we click once on the object, okay? And click outside. Now, oftentimes I'll be asking you to click and hold, perhaps to drag a window over something, perhaps to select several objects at once. I want us to all try that. We're going to hold down our pointer finger or our left mouse button and click and hold and drag a window around the individual on your screen. You'll notice that it kind of allows you to do that. And when you release, you'll notice it's another way to select something. It's also going to be what we use sometimes to do our zooming and panning. Okay, now a right click will be once something is selected, you can right click on that object. And you'll notice that in the next few weeks, we'll be learning how to use all of the right click menu options, as you can see here. So let's click on our green space outside, click once on the man, right click, and just kind of practice doing that. Okay, so just listen for me when I'm saying click. That will be a one-time click. I'll say click and drag. That will be this sort of idea that we did. And I will say right click at times, and it will be to actually right click on the object itself. Now, we're going to start with trying the pan command in SketchUp. And the pan does not zoom in and out, but it simply does exactly what it promises. We're going to click on that little hand icon there. And when we pan, we do have to hold. So we do need to click and hold or click and drag on our screen. So watch as I do that. I'm going to click in space, and I'm going to begin to drag toward the left, let go, click and drag toward the right. I can let go, and I can continue to sort of pick up the space and move it. I can do this up and down. And it just helps me to be able to navigate about left and right without being worried about zooming. Now, whenever I'm done panning or zooming, I can either hit my escape key to get out of that command, or I can right click on my screen and choose exit to get out of that command. And you'll notice that a black arrow appears, which means I'm out of the command I was in, and I'm back to a point of being able to select other items. Okay, so that's the pan command. I'm going to do it one more time. Choose pan. Click and drag to the left, click and drag down, and up, and to the right. And let's put ourselves back to where we were. Right click, exit. Okay, the next one we're going to do is our zoom. Now, if you actually look at the scroll on your mouse, you can actually zoom in and out in this way. That works, but it's not quite as accurate as using this button right here, which is the Zoom Real-Time button. So I'm going to click on that button. The same process applies. I need to start at the top. If I want to zoom out, I'm going to drag down on my screen. So hold your left mouse button down, drag down on your screen, release. You can continue to do that. And that drags out. I can go up, release, click and hold, click and drag, and you'll notice that that zooms in. So I'm using this one a lot, and I use it. You can see it's just more accurate than using our mouse button. When I'm done with that, I'm going to right click and choose exit. Now this zoom command or this zoom button also unlocks a whole bunch of other kinds of zooming that you can do. So I tend to click on it when I want to do any kind of zoom. So I'm going to click there. And then if I right click on my screen, you can see all of the other zooming commands here. So the first one I want us to try on this list, we've already done pan. We're not going to do orbit yet, but I want us to try the look around. Okay, so this actually seems like we're a pair of eyes on our screen and we're looking around our drawing. So choose that. You'll see a little eye there. And if I click and hold toward the left, you'll notice that I'm looking over in that direction. And if I click my left mouse button and hold and move my mouse towards the right, I'm looking around there. Now I can just continue to drag around, and I'm able to sort of see all sorts of things on my drawing. That's look around. Now, while I'm still in Zoom, I'm free at any time to right-click again on my screen, and I can choose any of the other Zoom options there. So let's try the one that says walk. Click on that. Remember, click means left mouse button. Now, if I've got a pair of feet here, if I actually click on my screen and hold and drag up, it'll very slowly begin to walk, or have the appearance that it's walking towards me. And this can actually give us a little bit of the illusion that we're doing a mini animation here. The space, if I go towards the right, it's like I'm walking towards the right. And if I click and hold towards the left, it'll appear as though I'm walking towards the left. Okay, the next thing that we want to take a look at here is a few additional navigation tools. And I want everyone to go to the Zoom Extents tab that I talked about at the beginning of this tutorial. And again, it's located just to the right of our Zoom Real-Time shortcut. So if everyone clicks on that button, you'll notice that you get a really close-up view in your drawing of the person that's on your screen, and that's because that's the only object on the screen. Now, if I had several objects on my screen, maybe a house or a living room or additional furniture on the side, it would basically find the boundaries for me of everything that I had, and it would zoom to the extent of that boundary. So click on Zoom Extents. You should be where I am when you do that. Then I want you to click to the left on the zoom button again, drag down on your screen to zoom out. One more time to zoom out again. And I want everyone to use the pan command to go to the left and get yourself to about this location here. Right click on your screen and choose exit. Now the next one we want to look at then is the orbit command. And this is so important in a three-dimensional world because we need to see every edge, every detail, every face, every plane while we're working on our drawing. So it looks again, it looks like an orbiting sort of tool here. We're going to click on that. I'm hovering over it right now. And when I do click on that, it works the very same way as all of the other navigation tools. If I click and drag towards the left and down, it'll kind of go in that direction. You'll see you can kind of get lost. Let go, continue to turn to the left, and you can let go. And you can even be right over top of your drawing, or if I orbit kind of going up, I can get right underneath my drawing, and I can continue to turn this around so I can see every single surface and plane. Okay, so practice that. I'm going to get myself back to a place where I see my red axis going in this direction to help me understand where I am in space, but that's the orbit command. The final one that we want to do is what I consider to be one of the most important zooming commands, and it's one that new users and new students tend not to use. And I always know in the classroom setting that students aren't using this one because I can see that they're getting very close to their screen and they can't see their work very well. And so instead of actually zoom closer, they tend to have their faces way too close to the screen, which is not what I want you to do here. This is the zoom window command, and you'll find it by clicking on our zoom icon and then right-clicking on our screen, and you'll see where it says zoom window. Now this is a very specific zoom, makes life a lot easier than trying to navigate through pan and zooming real time. If I need to do something very specific in a very small area here, I would use the zoom window command. Then I would click and hold or click and drag around the area that I wish to zoom closer to and release. And you'll see how much closer I get there to the object. I could do my detailed work that I need to do without having to get closer to my computer, which is not a good idea for your eyes. So let's zoom out again. And I want us to try that one more time, where we click on our zoom icon, then we right click on our screen and select zoom window. We're going to click, hold, and drag around a specific area, and whatever area I'm choosing will be my new zoom. You can see that. I could make it here, or here, release, and we're into that zoom location. So we want to be constantly in a place where we're panning, we're orbiting, zooming, and zooming windows. And I'm going to do that, and I want you to kind of follow along with what I do until we get really used to this idea. It might seem really basic, but it's really the starting point of where we need to be in order to see our work, in order to produce our work. Okay, panning, zooming, zooming window. I'm Sherry McKinley. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.